The first thing I remember of days at my grandparents' house was my mom having to force me into the backseat of their car to be carried off to a long stay with them, probably an entire weekend. I wasn't especially prone to homesickness, but there was something so far away and so lonely and so boring about weekends with them. My mom was single, worked too hard, and probably needed their help, but I wasn't in tune to any of this. I just didn't want to watch public television for 3 days straight. That was practically all there was to do, and it made me start to feel yucky and my brain melt. I remember trying hard to fall asleep in their guest bedroom. The basket of toys across the room turned eerie in the glow of the nightlight. The door cracked open, and Granddaddy's slow footsteps down the hallway making me hold my breath. But to be fair, there were simple pleasures to be found there. There was plain white paper to color and turn into paper dolls, and rubber cement to play with. There were enough cookies and cream ice cream cones to slow down my intestines for days. Outside their apartment complex was a dirt field that deer and other woodsy animals tracked through at dusk. Granddaddy had binoculars for spying on them and knew by heart which tracks meant what. There were always biscuits for breakfast with butter and jelly in the slits, and the oversized Bible read out loud at the table. I didn't appreciate this part then, but now I can add it to the list of pleasures there. Granddaddy didn't have to have that heavy King James Bible in his hands. Every other sentence you find him reciting it. For the longest time, I didn't understand why this was all he could talk about. To me, it seemed to make for awkward conversation. Or how he had the guts to ask everyone I introduced him to if they knew they'd wind up in heaven, and how so. I thought I did well to tolerate these things. It was late the night before his funeral, when for the first time all of us packed into what had become Grandma's, just Grandma's living room. Somebody probably dared to sit in Granddaddy's recliner, while the rest of us were all over the floor. And when Uncle Mike brought out Granddaddy's journal, we were cross-legged and quiet, kindergartners with perfect attention spans. Granddaddy was a stranger to me in those entries, but I heard him. I heard accounts of constructing a hut with his brothers, building an excellent fire in the doorway, and then finding themselves trapped inside until the flames died. Of finding a hurt pigeon carrying a message capsule used in World War II, delivering it to the postmaster, and reading an article in the next day's paper praising the postmaster for finding it. Competing, brother against brother, as to who could stand on the bridge the longest while the train flew underneath, shooting up embers at their legs. Bringing home a long list of hitchhikers to Grandma on short notice, expecting dinner, and even hiring one of them. And on Christmas Day, making each of my young aunts and uncles forfeit one of their gifts to give away to other kids. And tucked between the adventures were records of his hard thinking, wise thoughts, constant self-challenges. What I heard was that deeper down than Granddaddy's Baptist tradition was a little boy who once ran wild on a 1940s farm with a dry sense of humor in the nagging question of whether or not he was doing everything to please his maker.